Welcome back. You're listening to the Cindy Laverty Show on CRN Digital Talk Radio. My guest today is Steve Truitt. He is in studio with me. We're talking about his fascinating book, Stop Waiting for Permission, Why We Take No for an Answer and What You Can Do About That. All right, so we were talking during the break about how we live our lives based on decisions we make as a child. Just go into that a little bit. It's pretty fascinating because you don't have to do it.
You don't have to, but we all do it,
yep.
myself included. You know, when you're young, 6 or 7 years old, you begin to realize that you are not part of your parents. You are your own person. And so therefore you begin to see the world through your own terms. Mm-hmm. And around 6 or 7, and this happens with everybody, an external event will happen and you make it mean something about yourself.
Right.
But because you're 6 or 7, you don't have the perspective to understand that it really has nothing to do with you. If your parents divorce, if someone says something unconsciously to you that maybe insults you or hurts you. I had a teacher once who told me, or I had a coach who told me that her teacher, when she was in kindergarten, told her that she drew her picture wrong. She made the sky green and the grass blue. She was being artistic, right? Having fun. The teacher said, "Oh, you didn't do it right. You should have known better." She said, "For the rest of my life, I spent my life trying to know better." And that set her up as this know-it-all. Okay, so we make this decision about ourselves when we're 6 or 7, and I'll bet everyone listening right now can think of that time and that moment in their life when they made a decision about themselves.
Or several times.
Sure, probably so. Then it sets up what's called a gestalt of behavior. Every time in your life after that, you begin to look for evidence of the first decision you made about yourself. See, I knew I was a loser. See, I knew I was unlovable. That's what sets up your filter. You get into your 20s.
See, I knew I couldn't do that.
Right. You begin to look for evidence of that. You get into your 20s, 30s, maybe even your 40s, you're still making decisions that a child made.
Right.
And we don't know that we need to change that. When my clients come to me, that's my first order of business, is figuring out what that decision was, setting up the gestalt, understanding how it kept showing up in their lives, going back to that original event and shifting it by removing the emotions and removing the decision and making a new decision. And that's when change happens. Once you re-instruct your unconscious mind to go in a different direction, it will then go in that direction forever. Because the unconscious mind just wants to do what you want it to do, but it doesn't know that you want to have that change. Consciously, you say, I wish I had this, but unconsciously, you already made a decision years ago that you're not changing.
Right, right.
Okay?
And it's really just there to protect you.
It just thinks
it's
happy.
Protecting you. Right. So how do we find that champion that lies within us? And you have a lot of interviews in this book about, people who who are champions to you, who are inspirational to you. I wonder about the Governor Schwarzenegger thing, but we'll talk about that.
Okay. Well, I still believe in his.
He was the quest for you to get that.
Without a doubt,
though.
he was my golden egg for this book. I wanted to interview Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I still believe, despite all of the things that have happened to him, that his story is phenomenal.
It is phenomenal.
Said when he was in his teens, I'm going to move to America, I'm going to become a huge star, and I'm going to marry a Kennedy.
It is phenomenal.
And he did that.
Yeah.
I find that to be incredibly inspiring. I think a lot of powerful figures fall. I think a lot of powerful figures cheat. I think it's unfortunate.
Yes.
I think that you can be powerful and also be powerful in your relationship and choose to be in integrity and choose to have fidelity.
Right.
Why people don't is whatever is their reason.
We don't have time to talk about that today.
All power corrupts, okay? That's just the truth. But his original intention was clear, and he followed through on it. I find that fascinating.
Right.
Frank Zappa is in the book. I find him to be an amazing figure. Someone who was...
Yeah, you have a lot of, people in this book who are not in normal books where you talk about, where there's champion type people. So how do we all find the champion? Because there is a champion that lies within each of us. How do we find that?
You've got to remove your story, okay? And your story comes from the decision you made when you were a kid. If you say when you're young, oh, see, I'm not worthy of this, I'm not lovable, then you'll never be a champion for yourself. We were talking during one of the breaks, there's a great line in the musical Evita. It's really hard to be inspired when it's you're following.
I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, so of course you're not going to find a champion if you don't believe in yourself. But if you're able to say, okay, that decision I made was not real, it's based on nothing.
Right.
I have a purpose in life. I can now give myself the permission to believe in it. That's where the position part comes in. all you have to do now with the belief in yourself and your understanding of your purpose is now say, how can I get this done? You don't have to wear a cape and fly through the sky to be a hero.
Yeah, or climb sides of buildings or whatever.
Or spin a web. All you have to do is believe in what your purpose is, even if it's a small purpose. Look,
well, you can take that
champion
example. And just be a fantastic mother. You know, maybe you had a bad childhood and you don't want to, you want to write a new story. I mean, you know, you can do that.
There's a story I write in the book about my grandfather who fought racism in the 50s when it wasn't cool to do that in the Midwest. You know, a white middle-class guy who was making a good living and doing fine saw that there was this oppression in a black community, and he stopped it. He made a change. He didn't do it for money or for fame or for anything. He did it because it was wrong, and he wanted to right the wrong. That to me is a hero.
So why is it so important for us to keep evolving, to keep learning, to keep studying? I mean, you know, we live in this very quick-paced, fast society, instant answers, and I think that's where we start to lose bits and pieces of our soul.
I guess it's important, but my answer is why not? I mean, we're here, we're alive. As far as we know, this is the only shot we got at life. Why are we sitting around living small? Why not play huge? Why not take risks? Why not learn more? Why not challenge? Why not have conversations that stimulate?
Right.
You know, why not? How much time do we have left on this planet? Why aren't we living it, you know?
We've got about 5 seconds left in this segment.
Yeah,
I got
go
to take
for
a
it.
break. You're listening to Cindy Laverty Show. I'll be right back.